Can you hear me? If you don't hear me well, just say so, because it's hard for me with this on these mics sometimes. Okay, so good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Society of Ridgewood. My name is Carol Descalzo. My pronouns are she, her. On behalf of the members of the Racial Justice Team who planned this Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. service, a special welcome. We are glad you are here. Unitarian Universalism is a religion that asks us to embrace a wider circle of theologies, welcoming the atheist, the humanist, the theist, the believer, the seeker. Together, we travel our paths and supporting one another, rejoicing in our differences and honoring our commonalities. We do share a belief in love that can heal and transform, and a belief in our interconnection and interdependence. We also believe in the beauty of human diversity, and all of us are welcome here, no matter our age, race, gender, sexual orientation, economic status, theology, or education. Also, we have a strong social justice ministry here. On our patio, you will see a peace pole, a rainbow flag, and the Black Lives Matter banner. If you want to know more about the congregation, who we are, what we do, please make sure you sign the green sheet in the foyer, fill out the form that is being dropped in the chat on the Zoom. There will be a coffee hour after the service. Please stay and join us. Folks on Zoom, you will have an opportunity to chat and visit, so please don't drop off. As we begin, please take a minute to silence your electronic devices so that we can be truly present to one another in our time together. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, a national holiday enacted by Congress in 1983, recognizes the birth of the civil rights leader who led marches and boycotts for equal rights. It is celebrated the third Monday in January. His inspiring words and actions remind Americans everywhere to work for racial, economic, and international justice. Unitarian Universalists, and specifically our congregation, has a long history of anti-racism and social justice work. For most of its history, much of the work was done under the auspices of the Social Responsibilities Council, although many people did work independently. Many of you have probably seen Broad Street housing apartments in Ridgewood. Prior to their rehabilitation, Black families lived in those apartments with no heat or other amenities. Ruland Anderson, for whom this space was named, I knew him, he was a wonderful man, took the lead in organizing the funding to upgrade the buildings. 30 years after the rehabilitation, all tenants were able to purchase their apartments. Unitarians were also active in helping Quakers start the Friends Neighborhood Nursery School, the first preschool in the area to be racially integrated. Over the years, USR was involved in anti-racism activities and advocacy, too numerous to mention. We work closely with and raise funds for Northside Forces, now called Camp YDP in Patterson. Since 1968, as many of you know, we have been bringing Patterson children to Graydon Pool through Citizens for Swimming. We were early supporters in 1963 of the Fair Housing Council of Bergen County. Since the 1990s, we have worked through Open Hearts, Open Doors, the Anti-Racism Committee, the Racial Justice Committee, now called TEAM. In 1999, USR hosted a weekend racial and anti-racism jubilee training to learn about systemic racism and to deepen our understanding of how race and ethnicity play out in our institutions and daily lives. Members of the Central Unitarian and UU congregation of Palisades were invited. Out of this weekend came our USR anti-racism statement, which can be seen on the wall and on the screen, hopefully. If it's not, that's okay, but it is on the wall. And it's also in your, on the back side of your program this morning, so that you all have it. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Gabriella Chinnock, and I've been a member of the Racial Justice Team for many years now. And I work as a community school director and a restorative justice coordinator in the Bronx and Harlem. And I'm very happy to be here. We will now light this chalice today for the day. Please join our words for lighting the chalice. They will be on the screen. We light this chalice for the hope of truth, the warmth of love, and the energy of action as we gather together in the circle of community. And in preparation now for our meditation, as a congregation, we will take 3 breaths together. I invite you to place your feet on the floor, uncross the legs, maybe drop the chin, relax the face, relax the jaw. Breathing in for 1, 2, 3. Breathing out, 2, 3. Breathing in, 2, 3. Breathing out, 2, 3. Last time, breathing in, 2, 3. And breathing out, 2, 3. And now, just breathing normally.
I'm Jackie Nadler. My pronouns are she, her. I will be reading the poem Vote by Nikki Giovanni. Nikki Giovanni is an American poet, writer, commentator, activist, and educator. She has won numerous awards, including the Langston Hughes Medal and the NAACP Image Award. Vote. It's not a hug at Easter, nor a bunny hopping across the meadow. It's a vote, saying you are a citizen. Though it sometimes is chocolate or sometimes vanilla, it can be female or male, it is right or left. I can agree or disagree, but, and this is an important but, I am a citizen. I should be able to vote from prison. I should be able to vote when I get a driver's license. I should be able to vote when I can purchase a gun. I must be able to vote if I'm in the hospital, if I'm in the old folks' home, if I'm needing a ride to the polling place. I am a citizen. I must be able to vote. Folks were lynched. Folks were shot. Folks' communities were gerrymandered. Folks who believed in the Constitution were lied to, burned out, bought, and sold. Folks vote to make us free. It's not cookies nor cake, but it is the icing that is so sweet. Good for the folks, good for us.
So when I joined USR, I was very interested in groups committed to discussing and learning about social justice issues, racial, environmental, and reproductive justice. I came to Friday night lectures and book groups where I learned about events that were never covered in my high school or college studies. My perception of racism shifted from the idea that nice people aren't racist to an understanding of how in American society, some people have always been offered more opportunities based on race. These opportunities are woven into our culture, beginning with wealth accumulated during enslavement to opportunities provided by the GI Bill. With other members of USR, I joined 2 dialogue discussion groups sponsored by Summit Beacon Unitarian Universalist Congregation. We discussed Jim Crow laws, redlining to create segregated housing, and how the redevelopment of cities to accommodate the new suburbs negatively impacted thriving African American neighborhoods. At USR, we read books like Clint Smith's How the Word Was Passed and discussed national tragedies like the killing of George Floyd and so many other victims. There's a growing national discussion on understanding systemic racism, hopefully with an eye to repairing inequality. I believe all the small communities like ours have a part to play in this discussion. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Joe Moore. I'm a past president and vice president of this society. And that's way back in the 1970s. And since then, I have regarded this sanctuary as my spiritual home. It is that for me. I will describe just the early years in the life of Mr. Larry Doby, a Black man from Paterson who integrated the American League in 1947, just 11 weeks after Jackie Robinson integrated the National League. Doby came to Paterson from segregated South Carolina in the late 1930s to live with his mother's friends because she was a maid, a live-in maid, here in Ridgewood. Paterson was quite unlike South Carolina in racial practices. Instances of racism marked Doby's life in Paterson nevertheless. For example, in Paterson, downtown restaurants would not serve Black patrons. Black shoppers were followed in department stores. But perhaps worst of all, the Majestic Theater in Paterson sent Black patrons to the second balcony. It was called Nigger Heaven. It had benches, not seats. However, after his experiences in playing in the playgrounds on 12th Avenue, Doby went on to an astonishing all-state career in sports at Eastside High School. He, at the time, was one of only 25 Black students in that high school. At the end of his senior football season, the Ghosts, nicknamed because Eastside was built on an old cemetery, the Ghosts were invited to a postseason high school bowl game in Virginia. But when the sponsors in Virginia found out that Eastside had a Black player, they said that Eastside could not come if the Black player came with them. So the players on the team, all of them white, took a vote and decided not to go. After graduation in 1942, Dobie was drafted into the segregated United States Navy and was discharged in 1946. Then he began his professional baseball career with the Newark Eagles of the Negro National League, who went on that season to defeat the Kansas City Monarchs, the champions of the Negro American League, in the Negro World Series. The Eagles won that championship with Dobie as major star. On July 4th, 1947, in the following season, Dobie hit a home run in his last time at bat for the Eagles in Newark. After the game, he was escorted on an overnight train to Chicago to join the Cleveland Indians, who were on the road to play the Chicago White Sox in Comiskey Park. There, he met his surprised manager, who then introduced him to his new teammates, some of whom refused to shake Larry Dobie's hand. Out on the field during warm-ups, no one would throw the ball to Larry Dobie until finally one player did. As a pinch hitter late in the game, Larry Dobie struck out and officially integrated the American League. In spring training in 1948, Dobie was segregated from his teammates, living in the Santa Rita Hotel in Tucson, Arizona. One afternoon, when Mrs. Dobie carried their baby into the hotel to get a drink of water, it was refused, and she was asked to leave the hotel. But then the 1948 season started, and Dobie was their center fielder, and of course a great star on that team. So they went to the 1948 World Series against the Boston Braves. In the fourth game of that series, Dobie hit a home run, and that home run was the decisive hit in the game, and the winning pitcher was a pitcher named Steve Gromek. After the game, Gromek and Dobie rushed together in the clubhouse and had this photograph taken together. This photograph appeared in sports pages throughout the United States, but seldom in the South. For almost all Americans, it was the first time they had ever seen a picture of a black and white man hugging. As such, this photograph is historic. After the Indians won the World Series, Dobie returned to Patterson for a parade down Park Avenue and Market Street, with celebratory remarks made by the mayor, Michael DeVita. Then, with his World Series earnings, Dobie tried to buy a house in Patterson, where he was so famous. But real estate agents would not show him a house until the mayor intervened. 2 years later, Mr. Dobie moved his growing family to Montclair, to an integrated neighborhood. Dobie went on for 11 more seasons in the American League. He became the second black man ever to manage a major league team, and his number 14 was retired by the Cleveland Indians. And in 1998, Dobie was enshrined in the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. In addition to other statues celebrating Dobie have been dedicated in Camden, South Carolina, where he grew up his earliest years, and in Cleveland. The city of Patterson has rejuvenated Hinchliffe Stadium and is in the process of creating a museum there to honor Dobie and the famous Black athletes who played there in the 1930s. Finally, just a month ago, in an impressive ceremony in our nation's capital, the Congress of the United States bestowed the Congressional Gold Coin on Larry Dobie, with Larry Dobie Jr. and his sisters, his 4 sisters, as the recipients of that gold coin. Thank you.
Morning. My name is Duncan Chinnock. My pronouns are he, him. I've been with the racial justice team for several years, and I live in a multiracial family. This morning, I'm going to read a section from a piece that appeared in an edition of 2016 UU World Magazine. It's by the African-American minister William G. Sinkford, who served as president of the UUA from 2001 to 2009 and as interim co-president in 2017. The racial nightmare has not been ended. Religious bigotry, xenophobia, and homophobia are still used to justify hatred. And we found more excuses to keep us divided than most of us imagined 50 years ago. There's a reason that our nation hastened to embrace that warm and fuzzy dream of the American welcome table, where exceptional individuals can transcend their circumstances. That dream allowed us all, but especially white Americans, to maintain a belief in their own innocence. Did we somehow take our eyes off the prize? Or did Dr. King's dream provide a flawed lens that prevented us from seeing all that we needed to see? Dr. King, some of you will remember, continued to expand that dream, addressing militarism, income inequality, and immigrant workers. I wonder if he would be so revered if he had not been killed. Americans insisted on embracing not his expanding and challenging vision of the beloved community, embracing more and more of us, but the far more comfortable dream of equal opportunity and the vision of innocent children sitting together at the American table, or at least in the American classroom. The dream centered on love, not struggle. I wonder what Dr. King would preach to us today. I'm sure he would have built gender equality and women's reproductive rights into his vision. He would affirm sexual orientation and gender identity, absolutely. People of color would be his language, not just black and white. All of those things, but more. I think he would condemn the war on drugs, just as he condemned the Vietnam War, and for the same reason. Both are waged on the backs of the poor and people of color. I think he would call income inequality a moral failure, not just an economic reality. He would rail against religious bigotry, against the building of walls on our borders, against talk of banning all Muslims. Dr. King is not with us now, and so it falls to us to find and hold a dream for the beloved community. That is our religious work, our work, not just my work. I don't pretend to have the answer, but I do have a message. There are some things that I think I know. There's a reason that our nation hastened to embrace that warm and fuzzy dream of an American welcome table where exceptional individuals can transcend their circumstances. That dream allowed us all, but especially white Americans, to maintain a belief in their own innocence. Innocence, I hear it all the time. I never owned any slaves. I didn't create the war on drugs. Some of my best friends are Muslim, Mexican, gay. I'm not a bigot. Most of us understand the flaws in that logic. What I know is this: we are being given another chance. The racial justice and just plain justice Black Lives Matter movement that emerged out of the tragedies on the streets of Ferguson and Cleveland and Baltimore, that movement is offering us the chance to claim a fuller and ultimately a more hopeful dream. Perhaps that is how we need to begin to understand ourselves, not as the already conscious leaders waiting for the deluded dreamers to awaken, but as one community of resistance, struggling to stay awake and aware ourselves, one community of resistance to the hate and the violence, ready to partner with other communities of resistance. Because resistance is what love looks like in the face of hate.
Good morning. Hey, it's good to be here. It's good to see all of you here, and thank you. I'm glad to be back. I've been a member of the unit. Oh, I'm Inga Spungen. I use the pronouns she and her. I have been a member of the Unitarian Society since 1998, although I have been absent for the last few years since COVID pretty much, but I will hope to be back. For the last 7 years, I have headed an organization called the Patterson Alliance. We are a coalition of more than 100 nonprofit organizations serving the Patterson community. We bring our members together to collaborate, share information, and share resources. We have found that collaboration, is not only more effective than competition, it is more powerful. The Patterson Alliance has a mission, and it is to unite nonprofit and community partners to create a vibrant Patterson. We strive to improve collaboration between members, to be inclusive, and build a culture where everyone feels respected, included, and valued. As an adult, I've always been involved in nonprofit causes. So when I arrived in Ridgewood and found the Unitarian Society, it soon felt like home. Through USR, I learned about Camp YDP and the opportunities to tutor and for Citizens for Swimming. These things led me to Patterson, which has become my home, my work, and my life. It has not been an easy thing for an old white lady to become engaged in Patterson. As much as Larry Doby had a difficult time being accepted in the wide world of baseball, it took time for folks in Patterson to accept me. I am not saying that these two situations are even beginning to be comparable. Clearly they are not, but it does show that Patterson has changed much since Larry Doby's time. Too many people come to Patterson with offers to help and often do it for their own benefit. I have learned that many people in Patterson resist being helped due to pride, but also because of the expectations expressed by those who are trying to help. For example, if someone comes to you and says, "Can I help you?" How would you feel? Would you welcome it? What if it came with expectations, such as how you were supposed to respond, or how you were supposed to use the gifts that were given to you? It is often the case that the person who wants to help comes with an agenda of trying to fix the problem or the person, and often to be more like themselves on their terms and with their values and priorities. I have learned that it is important to ask what people need or want, but it's even more important to listen to the answer. There are many opportunities to give of yourself to Patterson, and I'm sure you know of many from our congregation who have done so. Charlie Walter is currently the president of the Four Cs of Passaic County and is doing a wonderful leadership job there. Bernie Josephsberg has been involved in Passaic County CASA and is also now helping Patterson Education Fund. Don Walter for many years led Citizens for Swimming, which is now headed by Jan Botcher. So there has been a lot more than that, but that's what I'm going to tell you about today. If you're interested in getting involved in Patterson, I am happy to assist. There are many opportunities: tutoring, collecting food, resources, and serving on boards. or even the old-fashioned way, giving dollars. We are collecting book bundles for children. The Bookends bookstore here in Ridgewood is helping. It is known that children learn to read until the 3rd grade, and then they read to learn. If they have mastered reading by the 3rd grade, it is likely that they will succeed in school and in life. When last tested, only 15% of Patterson's 3rd graders could read at grade level. 15. We have a Patterson Reads program that offers many opportunities for children to improve their reading skills. And one is to give them culturally and age-appropriate books, which is what the book bundles program, try to say that 3 times, what the book bundles program does. I will be available at coffee hour if you'd like to talk. If you tell me what your passions are and what your skills are, together we can discuss how you might choose to serve the residents of Patterson. There's also going to be an opportunity to purchase books for the book bundles for Patterson if you'd like. And while I plan to retire in May, I also plan to remain involved in the community, which has become my home.
Kristen, please don't go too far. You will see what my issue is in a minute. Okay, before we do our closing or sing our closing hymn, there has been a bit of a glitch. Ron is helping a friend who is ill, and so Ron just left, and I knew he would, and he's going out to help a friend with a performance. However, I am very singing challenged, extremely. So here we are, and I decided sitting here that I think we can all perhaps rise as we're willing and able and kind of feel that we're at a demonstration and belt out, "We Shall Overcome." And I would appreciate all the help I can get. So it should be on the screen, and in the hymn book, it's 169. Oh, thank you. Wow. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I believe that we shall overcome someday. We shall live in peace.
we